How's it going, everyone? Sir Douglas here with a brand new video. And today, upon sober review, your 19-time reigning and defending Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts are finally in the win column. They are winless no more, thanks to a 24-year-old former NCAA Division III All-American who played for Ithaca College by the name of Derek Sluka. Remember the name, put some respect on it, because I have a feeling you're going to be hearing a lot of that name over the next few weeks, and probably in the mix for most outstanding rookie this season. But ultimately, final score anyway, Toronto 29, Ottawa 16. Defense and special teams really showed up. Offense, on the other hand, still got a little bit of work to do, but let's cast the lines off and let's go sailing. So, depth charts came out on Saturday. Chad Kelly was ruled out earlier in the week, and he was actually ruled out earlier in the week until at least week 7. That means he would return to play to the place where his injury occurred, Montreal. DeMarcus Christmas, Brian Haralamana, and Kenneth George were all in the 6 game, and then you have a whole slew of guys on the 1 game. Winton McManus, Dylan Giffen, Derek Parrish, Darius Sirocco, Jack Cassar, and Deontay McMahon. That's on the bad side, but on the good side, we had the return of Janarian Grant, so leveled up our return game. Yay! Ottawa was also very banged up this week. Drew Brown, he was actually ruled out, so Dustin Crum, aka Crum the Conqueror, was named the starter. So, I mean, this team was ripe for the plucking, and if the Argos couldn't pull off a win here, I think there would have been a lot of alarm bells ringing back in Toronto. I was fortunate enough to take in the game on Sunday night, in the very special area of TD Place. It's on the north side of the stadium, and basically they got these little wooden, I don't know, tiki huts, I guess, for the lack of a better term. And it was actually really, really nice. It was right on the field. Hell, you probably saw me on TSN repeatedly and often. It was an elite level. It was elite level, honestly. And I was incredibly grateful to have experienced this. Two shout outs to OSEG employees, Sebastian, who was an account rep there, and Sophia, who was one of our servers on the evening. You two are megastars for dealing with us Argo knuckleheads all night. But now on to the game itself. Toronto got the ball first. Half decent return for Janarian Grant. He got it up to the 45-yard line, right, and then right out of the gate, Nick Arbuckle finds Deveris Daniels for a 25-yard catch. Dave Ungerer got a short one, but they got no further than the Ottawa 29-yard line. Liram Hyralahu's field goal was good, and Toronto throws the first punch, and it was a 3-0 lead. First drive from Ottawa was not all that great. Started from the 40-yard line. Dan Adebaboye, he got himself a first down, but there was no more than that. Argos D was on point for their first showing of the game. But Ottawa had a really good punt and pinned the Argos onto the 11-yard line. First penalty of the game on Toronto's second possession, which was kind of surprising to me considering the last game and there was flags everywhere. Surprisingly, it was against Ottawa, which was even more surprising. They got nailed for an offside, but despite that, it still ended up a 2-and-out anyways. Ottawa's next possession was just as unremarkable. However, Khalil Pimpleton did get a first down before they flamed out. During that, they did get flagged for intentional grounding. So, and mainly because Crum was getting sacked and he threw the ball away and didn't even reach the line of scrimmage. So that's an intentional grounding, counts as a sack. Richie Leone punted the ball away, and Toronto got pinned deep in their own zone again. So Ottawa playing the position game pretty good early. And Toronto couldn't get the ball moving early on. Chop Williams, despite his best efforts, couldn't do much. So it was another 2-and-out there. Then Ottawa had a clutch moment here, and I thought, this was kind of like, well, This might have been a TSN turning point here. Gavin Hislop came out of the clouds and got to John Haggerty to block his punt. But there was an Argo bounce with it because the ball had enough spin on it for it to bounce forward by about 15 yards. So ultimately, when the Argos were pinned deep, they actually gained about 15 yards on the punt. But so push it forward to about the 25-yard line. But so Ottawa had excellent field position for their next drive. However, the Argo defense once again started off. Cam Judge came through and sacks Dustin Crum. Next play, Argos get nailed for offsides. So and Ottawa made no mistake to get the fresh set of downs. Then Ottawa goes backwards again. This time Andrew Chatfield got to him. It was 2nd and long, and Dustin Crum aired the ball out looking for the end zone. However, Tavares McFadden was able to steal the ball away, get himself an interception. Now, first of all, Dustin Crum had to hurry the throw a little bit, and it was just out of the reach of Keelan White. Went off his fingertips, and then Tavares McFadden was right there to clean up the mess. So fantastic play to get Toronto back, to get the ball back for Toronto. They started their next drive from the 30-yard line, and we had a bit of a scary moment as Chop Williams suffered an injury when he suffered a head injury. After the hit, his helmet popped off. So more than light. So and I took a look at I'm recording this on Wednesday. And I saw in the injury report that he will not be in the game. So the Argos are once again in a bit of a jam when it comes to the running back position. But Chop was able to stay in the game for the most part, but didn't do much. I'll explain. Then we'll get into that. However, Nick Arbuckle found Kevin Mittal for a first down, and then the drives after that drive stalled, leading to a Toronto punt. But this one, Haggerty launched it. Fired an absolute monster. 68 yards. It goes into the Ottawa end zone, and Dedmon did not opt to return it, so single point for Toronto. And at the end of the first quarter, it's Leafs 4, Sens nothing. Second quarter begins, and Ottawa starts off with the ball. And, of course, Dustin Crum finds Gino Lewis to get the Toronto side of the field in one play. Then they start, and that now Ottawa starts upping the tempo to try and push they're pushing some big plays together. Finds Justin Hardy for a big gain too, to get into the red zone. This is where we got something interesting. Andrew Chatfield forced a fumble. Was recovered by Braylon Addison though very quickly, but and unfortunately all that was ultimately for naught, as Benji Franklin was called for offside for the second time in this game. Khalil Pimpleton hauled in the short pass afterwards to get the first down. And then we saw something kind of weird because we saw a time count violation. Normally you don't see something like this, especially when the offense is trying to keep a momentum going, but they must not have had the right guys on the field or something. I couldn't remember what exactly, but so they got a time count violation, so it pushed them back. And then we see the first appearance of the person who I'm standing pretty hard right now, and that's Derek Sluka. Dustin Crum finds Khalil Pimpleton at the 12-yard line. He gets to the 5, starts to get a little too cute trying to avoid tackles. Benji Franklin comes up from behind, punches the ball out. Derek Sluka scoops it up and runs it all the way back 105 yards for a touchdown. The extra point was good, and the Argos take an 11-0 lead. Now I know I was reading on Blue Sky that there were some Ottawa fans saying Benji Franklin should have been hit with an illegal participation penalty. At first I thought, well, you know what, you might have something here, but I actually had to read the rule on this one. It's Rule 1, Section 1, Article 8. It is illegal for a player of either team to go out of bounds without contacting an opponent and return to the field to participate in the play. The penalty would have been a loss of 10 yards. Benji Franklin was able to tug on Khalil Pimpleton's jersey prior to going out of bounds. Therefore, upon sober review, refs got it right. Too bad, so sad. Next Ottawa drive, it was a 2-and-out. Argos get the ball back, and boy, did they start rolling on this one. Tavares Daniels showed up. He made 2 great catch and runs on this drive to go from Toronto's 30 to Ottawa's 30 in 2 plays. First catch in particular was a great throw by Arbuckle to find him in space in the zone coverage. It was perfectly placed. It was like he was inside. I think it was like 3 or 4 different defenders there, and he was able to get some good yardage. I was able to find Kevin Mattal in space as well to get the first and goal. This is where the Argos obviously start to struggle a little bit when you start to get to X and goal. So on the first down, Kevin Brown got it to the 1. Second down, Ottawa brought the engage 8 or 9. They brought pretty much the entire house, and Nick Arbuckle finds, of all people, Ryan Hunter. To quote the replacements on this one, if you haven't seen this movie, great football movie, but to quote the replacements here, I love it when a lineman gets a touchdown, because you get a fat guy spike and a fat guy dance. Extra point was good, and the Argos are bossing this game now 18-0. Rest of the half plods along with really not much going on. We did see a challenge from the REDBLACKS on a pass from Dustin Crum to Gino Lewis. Benji Franklin was on the coverage. Challenge was successful after Franklin got a DPI call. Now, upon sober review, this was once again the right call. It looked like when Lewis was on the curl route coming back, there was a little tug of the jersey, and it was, like I said, it was the right call. You can't do that. And that happened as the ball was in the air, and of course, can't do that. Right, so everything else other than that was, so everything else is golden, but that little jersey tug, it cost him. It cost him big time. 2 more flags pop out, one for a hold and the other for a late hit, so it was a net 5-yard gain for Ottawa and a first down. And ultimately, in the end, it just led to a Lewis Ward 50-yard field goal. It was good, and we're 10 points from the forbidden scoreline. At halftime, Toronto leads 18-3. Third quarter, then Ottawa starts out like a house of fire. William Stanback was running his brains out on Sunday night. Rushed to twice for first down. Then Dustin Crum made 2 passes, one to Braylon Addison, who got 3 yards on the play out, and he was actually hurt on it. Tavares McFadden just came in and just leveled him. And now at first I thought he just got the wind knocked out of him, but then as I watched the game, it was actually his shoulder. So here's hoping he'll be all right. Gino Lewis finishes off to get a first down after a great second effort from him. Dustin Crum then calls his own number, and boy did he on this one, he had so much room to run. The Argos decided, you know what, let's try and strip him because quarterbacks and running, you don't normally, it's not really all that great. But unfortunately, that didn't really work. He should have just wrapped him up and taken him down because he got like 25 yards and he got into within field goal range. However, once that happened, the drive stalled for Ottawa, and then we see one of the damnedest things I have ever seen watching this game. One of the damnedest thing I've ever seen live. This was a chip shot for Lewis Ward, an utter chip shot. I mean, it would easy peasy, easy as you like. So snap and hold. Lewis Ward kicks it. Anthony Lanier got his massive bear paw up to block the kick, and it goes into the end zone. Derek Sluka is able to pick it up from 10 yards deep. Starts going in one direction. Now keep in mind there was nobody blocking him here. If someone just came in on a beeline and knocked him down, it would have been a single point. He was utterly dead to rights. Utterly dead to rights. Swarmed by he was like 3 or 4 Ottawa players near him. He then decides to go full cartoon breaks, skid, and then go back and start going the other way. He gets around Kenny Onyeka, turns upfield. Then he gets 2 blocks, one from Benji Franklin, the other from DeMarcus Johnson, and he is gone. Utter daylight. He could have ran all the way back down the 401 to Toronto. Dude has cardio for days, and you could tell he was so gassed when he got to about the 15-yard line. But it was a touchdown. One of the damnedest things I've ever seen. Extra point was good. Toronto now leads 25-3. Boo Birds are start coming out in TD plays. Ottawa answers back with a field goal, making it 25-6. Argos on their next possession from their 40 don't really do a hell of a lot either, other than one big pass to DeMonte Coxey that was really an interception. It was bobbled by the defender, but Coxey was able to steal it back. So that was now. We've seen this before from Nick Arbuckle, where he kind of telegraphs when an interception was going to occur with a near interception. So that's what happened here. That was the near interception, because in the following play, that's when you saw the real one. Sure enough, the ball was swatted out of the air and it was taken in by Robert Priester, and that gave some energy back to the Red Blacks. And they fully capitalized on that interception, going down the field and getting the touchdown, and the extra point was good. Toronto still leads it, though, 25-13. Now, here's something cool. From these tiki huts, right, if I just looked to my left, right, and that's where you see the guys in Ottawa who chop up the wood cookies every time they get a touchdown. They were the most forlorn-looking guys I've ever seen in my life for the majority of the game, up until that point. And keep in mind, like, they actually jumped the gun because on the Dan Adeboboye didn't get the touchdown. His knee was actually down at the 1 before. Then they had to call the play back, and then I think it was like second and goal or third and goal or whatever, and they had to run another quarterback sneak to get it in there. But I mean, that could have been a disaster too. If they made the wood cookie and then all of a sudden, oh crap, we didn't get the touchdown. And I mean, like, fully didn't get it, and it was a turnover on downs. That would have been just a tiny bit of a disaster. But ultimately, in the end, like I said, they finally had something to do near the end of the third. Next drive, Toronto goes 2-and-out. Ottawa retakes possession to start the fourth. They didn't do much with it either. One first down, and Toronto retakes control. And then Nick Arbuckle makes quick work of the drive, finding DeMonte Coxey for a big play. He was interfered with too, but he still got the ball, so the penalty was declined. Drive stalled at the 36. Liram comes out. Field goal, 28-13 the score. And then Ottawa from their own 40-yard line. And this kind of boggles me a little bit. 2-score game. You have a lot of time left in the fourth quarter. I mean, considering this is the Canadian Football League where no lead is safe. And Ottawa didn't really show any urgency. At least to me. Started with a sack by Andrew Chatfield again. So, however, he did grab the mask on when he was trying to bring Crumb the Conqueror down. So, and Ottawa challenged it. And don't kid yourself, it was rough on the passer. You can't go up and reach the mask. Then you have your next 4 plays: rush, short pass, rush. Now I understand you want to keep the running game strong, but it's late in the fourth quarter. You're starting to run a lot of clock down in the fourth, and you're down by 2 scores. Start throwing the ball a little bit, But upon the next pass, though, sent to Toronto's end zone. Pimpleton was looking to catch it. He couldn't get to it. Flag was thrown. Now, my first instinct is that it was DPI. Not this time, though. He actually shoved the defender off, and it was offensive pass interference. 10-yard penalty. Drive stalls. Lewis Ward comes out. Field goal is good. 28-16. And over 5 minutes was taken off the clock with that. Ottawa needed to show a lot more urgency here. They didn't. And at that point, realistically, the game was over. I mean, the Argos eat up a lot of clock with their taking it to inside the 3-minute warning. Ottawa goes with a two and out with a turnover on downs, and next thing you know, 1 first down, 2 kneels, and then something odd where Liram Kairolahu came out to try and get one last field goal at the end of the game. He missed with no return on it, so it led to a single. Toronto wins. First win of the season for the Argos. Now, I have to say, the defense and specials were phenomenal. Other than the minor mistake on the blocked punt. Other than that, I thought they were great. They had the Argo bounce help out on the blocked punt. Nick Arbuckle did better than I thought he did as well. He went 18 for 25, 269 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. However, the lack of a running game is concerning now. Because if we face a team with a good pass defense, we're not going to be moving that ball at all. And further to that, if you take out Derek Sluka's points that he scored, the Argos lose this game by 1. That's not good. So while we do have a cause to celebrate, there's a lot of room of improvement that this club needs to make. They don't have a lot of time to do it either, as the Orcs are on the march from the Black Gate. Hamilton comes to town on Friday. That's going to do it for me for this one. Like and subscribe. I'll talk to you again very, very soon for another Upon Sober review when I have a look at the Hamilton game, and I'll have a little surprise for you guys for the bye week. So that'll be next week. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, I'll see you at the game on Friday. Cheers, everybody.